Still on the advantages of 3PL providers, another one is here on page 6. We have 3PL providers can resolve problems. So they can resolve problems affecting the flow of goods. So problem solving is also one of the advantages of going with a 3PL provider, affecting the flow of goods without the need to distract clients' management teams. So that's like the prayer of every company. I don't want distraction. I don't want, you go and handle it. And 3PL seems to fit that description very well. They can operate independently. 3PL providers can also take responsibility for managing legal requirements. Remember, in the logistics services industry, there are lots of legal requirements, lots of custom regulations that you have to abide by, licenses for drivers, different types of licenses for different types of vehicles. So there are lots of regulations because you are dealing with heavy products, heavy equipment, expensive products, foodstuffs, things that deal with things that people use every day. So, and they are in large quantities. You are using seaports, you are using rail ports, you are in railways, rail stations, you are using airports. So there are lots of regulations that they have to abide by. And if you go with companies that are 3PL providers that can offer all of these services to you, then it's an advantage. However, they said those advantages may not always be realized in practice. Oh, really? Why? For example, there can be seasonal variations in demand for storage space, and so 3PL providers may not always be able to offer flexibility at busy times of the year. Oh, really? So this is something that we need to also note, just in case we get some other unseen test in the exam that talks about flexible times or busy times during the year. Dear senior manager, we understand that this is a very busy time during the year and we're having some challenges with this or with that. Note that it is one of the issues that has been mentioned here. 3PL providers may not always be able to offer flexibility. So just in case we have a client that is asking for flexibility because of a reduction in its demand or because of one thing or the other, we have to analyze it carefully and look at all the pros and cons of the situation before we can recommend the appropriate solution for that scenario. So this is just something that you should also have in mind. So let me make it a different color so that we can know that it is different from the ones we've been looking at since. Then we have the shared versus dedicated 3PL. So this is further zooming into the 3PL model now. So some clients negotiate exclusive arrangements for the use of a 3PL resources. So these dedicated arrangements grant exclusive use of specific assets belonging to the 3PL provider. So that could mean that a number of vehicles could be painted in the client's color and will be used on that client's business, or a warehouse could be set aside for the client's exclusive use. So look at this particular clause. When you have this situation where you have a dedicated arrangement to grant exclusive use of specific assets that belongs to you, for example, a day stroke, and you grant the specific use of that asset to a client, what do you think is the risk that is involved? Well, you guess right. Corporate reputation risk. Corporate reputation risk. You have to start thinking about corporate reputation risk because the company is now going to be using your colors. The company will paint the warehouse in your colors. The company will be using your vehicles. Whatever it is that that company engages in at that particular point in time, they might attribute it to you. And that's something that you should take note. So just in case we have anything in the exam that talks about us granting exclusive use of our assets to somebody, then we must note that, well, we have some corporate reputation issues that we must consider, and you must mention it in whatever answer that you are given, because it shows that you have considered it. So that's how to have a balanced argument. Remember, you are going to be only awarded on valid arguments. No, it's not about being 100% right or 100% wrong. It's just about balanced argument, a balanced answer. You have argued it to the right. However, you have also considered it to the left as well. Then you give a balanced conclusion based on your analysis of the situation. Then you have shared arrangement. Shared arrangement do not guarantee the exclusive use of assets. The 3PL provider is free to, for example, use a vehicle to carry several part loads from different clients in one trip, or to carry a load for one client on the outward journey between two locations and another load for a different client on the returned journey. So a warehouse could also have areas set aside for different clients within the same building. So that's a shared arrangement. What do you think can happen in this case as well, where you have this can also attract corporate reputation risk. So you have different clients. You set aside materials or products for different clients in the same building. So you have to think about, what if the products or the materials are not of different categories? So this client wants to store food with you, and the other client is storing chemical products with you. They will require different set of temperature or environment to store them. So you have to think about the cost of these things as well. And then you have dedicated arrangements. Dedicated arrangement may be more cost effective than shared for companies that have high volumes of goods to transport in accordance with a regular schedule, so that vehicles can be kept full. They may be beneficial for clients who have specialized needs, such as goods that require specialized storage or transportation arrangements. So those are the kind of people that will make use of a specialized or dedicated arrangement. They may be very cost effective. So we need to take note of that, just in case we are recommending it. Say dedicated arrangement is better than other kinds of arrangement, because they may be cost effective than the shared arrangements. Now we have the storage part of the logistics services. You remember we broke down the logistic functions into 4. You have the storage, you have the admin, you have the transport, and then you have the inventory carrying. So logistic management usually requires warehousing or other forms of storage that permits goods to be stored safely until they are required at the next stage of their journey. The number, size, and location of storage facilities must be decided. The number, the size, location of storage facilities must be decided. So this must be very strategic. You have to have your storage location in very strategic places so that it can be easily accessible to all your infrastructural facilities, to your seaports, to your rail station, or to airports, so that it can be easy also for clients to store with you. So location is very, very important. And that's where cost comes in as well. Because if we want to decide to locate our storage facility in one area, then we have to think about the cost. We have to think about the community where we are going to locate this facility. What are the pressure groups that are in those communities, and all of those things like that. You have to think about them. Storage sites must be large enough to provide sufficient capacity. Must be large to provide sufficient capacity. They must also be accessible to whatever mode of transport will make deliveries or collections, whether be road, rail, sea, or air. I just mentioned that now. So locations can also affect transportation costs due to distances between the nodes. So it's very important. Location is a very strategic thing that you must consider. Storage facilities must be configured and equipped to handle the goods that will flow through them. So configuration of the storage facilities can cost a lot of money, but it must be properly equipped so that it will be very efficient for goods to flow in and out. Remember, it's about the ease of the flow to save time. For example, goods are often carried on wooden pallet so that they can be lifted by forklift trucks. That usually requires warehouses to have loading docks that enable forklifts to drive into cargo trailers when loading or unloading. So the main storage space in the warehouse will then have to permit free and safe movement of forklifts so that pallet can be placed in storage or picked from dispatch. So it's all about configuring the storage facilities properly. It must be located in the right areas so that it can be easily accessible. So all of these things must be, they are things that are necessary for a storage space to function efficiently.